Thank you so much for hanging with us. Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith, I'm Molly Karen.
What's up? How are you?
We had some good action last night, and we had some bad action.
Woo. It was special, but then, you know, it was offset by what we saw. We were supposed to have a Monday Night Football. I think this is one of those days where ESPN should go up to the NFL League office and ask for some money back.
You saw Pop Warner out there.
I never seen anything quite like that. We'll get into it.
It was bad.
All right, let's start with Klay Thompson. He dropped 60, yes, you heard that right, 60 points in a 142-106 win over the Pacers. But it gets better, folks. He put up 60 in just 29 minutes. That's the fewest minutes played in a 60-point game in the shot clock era. We're talking back in the 50s. And that works out an average of 2.7 points per minute.
That's a feat that I put money on, probably never be touched ever again in the history of basketball. It's unbelievable. Just finding open shots, knocking them down. Did it, obviously, all over the court.
I never seen anything like it. You know, in 29 minutes, like, not even played a fourth quarter, you know. I mean, I've watched, you know, Kobe score 80 and 62 and 3/4, but to be on the team and be at the game and, you know, be on the sideline and watch it, it was amazing.
Do you think you could have gotten 80?
Maybe. Like I say, I mean, I think I could have. That would have been maybe one day. I'll have the opportunity, but 16, 29 minutes is not too bad. I'm satisfied with that.
Stephen A., we might surprise some folks with this question. Here it is. If you had to get rid of one of the players in the Big Three for the Warriors, who would it be?
Max, I need to explain this.
Who would you let go of?
Ladies and gentlemen, of the Big Three, right now, I would let go of Steph Curry.
Stop it.
I would.
Stop it.
let me explain.
Why would anyone ever let go of Steph Curry?
Let me explain. You do know they call me Stephen A. Smith for a reason. Let me break it down. Let me break it down. I understand. I am willing to concede the blasphemy coming out of my mouth.
Because it's sounding asinine after 10.
That's right. Understand. Listen.
See that car? Get rid of the engine.
I feel
if you had to get rid of one thing, get rid of the engine.
I beg your indulgence. I beg your indulgence. I need y'all to listen to me. Let me break this down for y'all.
Let's hear it.
Steph Curry is the greatest shooter I've ever seen. He's a bad, bad man. No question. No question about it. But on this team, I got a 6'11" dude by the name of Kevin Durant with a 7'6" wingspan who can pull up from 30 and average shoot 40% from the field and drop 30 a game. I got a dude in Klay Thompson who has clearly proven that he is one of the top 2 shooters in all of basketball. We're not disputing that, are we? We're not disputing that, right? No. We know that Steph Curry's #1 as a shooter. We know what he brings to the table. This dude is mega. I mean no disrespect at all. But if I had to let go of one of them, I got a dude in Klay Thompson that even Charles Barkley has said may be the best two-way player in basketball. He's not only a shooter.
He's not. But go ahead.
No. Wait a minute. Best two-way player.
No.
I'm just saying, when you think about, listen, he's 6'6".
Love Klay. No.
And can guard 3 positions. All I'm saying to you is that I have to think about that combined with the shooting, combined with Kevin Durant, and ask myself, how much in danger am I of losing that element from them if I don't have Klay? See, I'm sorry, if I don't have Steph. That's my point and where I'm going with all of this. I know that Steph can create his own shot. He can boogie on anybody. He got the nasty handle. He can pull up from anywhere. He's the best shooter in the game. He is elite. I mean no disrespect. Steph Curry, oh my God. I mean no disrespect. He's that big time. But because Kevin Durant is there, if you sat up there and said, you get to now Steph is box office. So if we bring a box office appeal, no. Steph is box office. I get that. But if you're talking about purely basketball skill on both ends of the court and what they can bring, I'm not going to lie to you, Max Kellerman, even though he wasn't 100%, as I've said to you on many occasions, you have never hesitated to point out how suspect Steph was in the finals. And I'm thinking about the defensive liability he could be at times. I don't see that in Kevin Durant. I don't see that in Klay Thompson. And that I would never want to lose Steph. But if I had to lose one of the three and I didn't have to take box office into consideration, just purely basketball, I got to say, I would be looking to hold on to the two bigger dudes who can also shoot and defend.
God bless you, Stephen A. Smith. Boy, you make this easy. You are so wrong about this.
Yeah,
Look,
I understand.
Let's start with what makes this team go, okay? Now, it's not just that they're willing to pass the ball. These dudes enjoy passing the ball to one another. They like it. They like hooking their teammates up. They like setting off-ball screens, all that stuff. And that starts really with Steph as the leader of the team. But and that's why Kevin Durant wanted to sign, because he looked at them and thought, there's no personality problems on this team. There's no who's alpha, who's this, who's that. It's let's just play the right way. And that's why Klay Thompson's able to drop 60 in 3 quarters, by the way. And I'd have left him in the 4th. It's early in the season. Let's see how many he can go for. But he's able to do that because of the environment that Steve Kerr and Steph Curry have created, the kind of machine this is. Now think about
who's able to do this.
What's that? Klay. Klay's able to score 60. He'd be dropping. Listen, Klay gets preternaturally hot anyway. He dropped 26 in a quarter last year. That wasn't his best quarter ever.
37.
37. How are you going to drop 26 points in a quarter? And it's like, that's not even close to my best quarter. I don't even think last night's his most impressive performance. 37 points in a quarter? And then 60 in 3 quarters. So it's not that he doesn't have a crazy release, infinite range, all those things. He does. But he's uniquely skilled to take advantage of what the Warriors have created. And how have the Warriors created it? Like, what's the #1 ingredient? It's Steph Curry. Look, ideally what you'd like to do to Klay Thompson is make him put the ball on the floor and turn him into a decision maker, right? It's not that he's terrible at that, but that's not what he's elite at. If you're playing the Golden State Warriors and you can do that, you've created maybe the optimal scenario for your defense. But you can't say that about Steph Curry. Let him put the ball on the floor and turn him into a decision maker. He's a very good one. He's very good at that. He's the guy who makes the entire team go. And because the primary ball handler will not only do things unselfishly like set off ball screens, etc., but also has infinite range as Klay does and has the ball in his hand bringing it up the court, you got to pick those guys up so early defensively. You have so much extra space that you need to rotate to get to a guy like Klay. And by the way, because of all the things I just mentioned, it's not just threes. He was 8 from 14 last night from 3. That's 24 of his points. If my math is correct. 3 times 8, right? Carry the 2, right. 24 points. What about all those other points? The other 36 points, easy cuts. Because of the Warriors' offense. On another team, Klay doesn't get to do those things because another team doesn't have Steph Curry.
Well, I disagree with that. And in all honesty, I think that Klay could be Klay with Chris Paul. I think that Klay could be Klay with LeBron. I think that Klay could be Klay with various guys because his movement without the basketball is good as well, and he deserves credit for that. But again, this is a hard argument because I'm not trying to sit up there and act like I don't recognize the greatness of a Steph Curry. I'm just saying that I'm also recognizing the greatness of a Klay and a Kevin Durant combined with their physicality in this NBA game. I think the fact that Klay is 6'6" and can guard 3 different positions matters. I think the fact that Kevin Durant is 6'11" and can guard 3 different positions matter. You're speaking about offense. I'm speaking about all of it. And I'm saying to you, the combination of both.
Klay's a better overall player than Steph Curry?
You don't think so? Yes, I do.
Is Klay Thompson a top 5 player in the NBA?
Is Klay Thompson a top defender?
Is he a top 5 player?
No.
In the end, you add it all up.
No, we think about offense. I would definitely give Steph the edge over Klay offense because I think that Klay is more of a shooter, and Steph Curry, even though he's the greatest shooter that I've ever seen, he can score a myriad of ways.
Yes.
But my point to you is that Steph ain't even in the same stratosphere defensively.
Yeah, but add it all up.
So, all right.
Add it all up. Who's a better player?
I'm going to sit there and say to you, Steph, because Steph is a point guard, and as a point guard, you're a floor general. It's almost the equivalent of a quarterback. I get that, but I'm telling you.
But he plays point guard because he's able to play point guard.
But let me be clear. What I'm saying to you is that on this Golden State Warriors team, I didn't say overall in terms of Steph just a player isolated, Klay just a player isolated. On the Golden State Warriors, if you lost Steph, but you had Kevin Durant with Klay, how much you losing?
More than if you lose anyone else, including Kevin Durant.
Let me tell you something right now. I think that the Golden State Warriors, without Steph Curry, but with Klay and Kevin Durant together, are easily 65-game winners. Easy.
I don't know.
Easy.
I have to think about how many games they win. They win a lot of games, but what makes them different than everybody else, number one, is Steph Curry. And now, ultimately, Kevin Durant's so good, you have to put him there. But before Durant got to the team, if you ask me the second most important player in terms of the way the team functions, I'd say Draymond.
But let me tell you this. It's not an accident. And let's put on our antennas here.
Okay.
And you'll get where I'm going. It's not an accident that Steph comes out in public about less than 2 weeks ago, and he anywhere has to be a curveball other than the arrival of Kevin Durant. Because when you look, without Kevin Durant, I would never dare utter such blasphemy. But the fact of the matter is, Kevin Durant is that surreal, that big time, that much of a package on both ends of the
You brought
floor.
up the fact that it was off-the-court income as it relates to sponsorships.
I brought that up, but I didn't limit it to that. I'm saying to you that Kevin Durant being on the team enable. I'm not saying that you want to do it.
Who's the best player on the Warriors? Who's the best player on the Warriors?
Kevin Durant.
Who's the second best player on the Warriors?
Well, again,
Steph Curry.
I'm going to give it to Steph Curry.
Oh,
He's your point guard.
You don't have to give it to him. He took it.
But let me say this. If you're talking about Steph Curry and Klay Thompson isolated, fine.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the compilation
even more
of the
way the Golden State Warriors function. Even more.
But you're talking
Klay
like
is the beneficiary of
you're
it.
talking like we're just trying to give somebody away. The question is, if we had to let go of one, if
of
we
the
had
big
to let go of
three.
one,
Yes, Klay.
I'm saying
Sorry,
to
Klay.
you, I'm saying to you, look, man.
Love you, Michael, but see you later, Klay. If you had to lose Klay,
I gotta tell you, I love me some Steph Curry. He's the greatest shooter I've ever seen. But in terms of a complete game, Klay Thompson and what he brings to you defensively, combined with what he does on the court, combined with Kevin Durant being his teammate, I would have to match. I got to tell you, I might lean towards Klay.
And I wish you were a GM and we could be trading players.
Let me tell you something right now. You can say
you want to
whatever you want to say.
Steph off the Warriors.
I promise you, I'm not losing.
Over Klay?
I'm not losing anything keeping Klay. Clay's a bad boy.
Yeah,
Clay's a bad boy.
Who gives you dribble penetration, by the way?
True, that's
also,
true.
you're going to go pick up Damian Lillard, fine. But if Damian Lillard's not available, who you got running the point?
I cannot believe how hard-headed you are. I keep saying to you, the acquisition of Kevin Durant enables me to not have to be concerned about those things.
You still need a penetrating point guard who can shoot.
I'm telling you right now. Let me tell you this.
And pass.
And I'm not saying that I would want him because he can't shoot worth a damn. But Rondo can penetrate and dish. There's a whole bunch of
Rondo would be great on the Warriors.
I'm just telling you. No, he wouldn't be great on the Warriors. But for the purposes of Durant and Klay Thompson, I'm only making that argument to say you could go out there and find somebody to penetrate and dish it off. I can't ignore that.
Easier to approximate Klay in the offense. Get a two-guard who can 3-and-D two-guard.
Klay Thompson.
It's easier to find than Steph Curry approximation.
Why am I not surprised? You're not thinking about defense at all.
I love defense.
Listen. Did you watch the Warriors in the finals last year?
Yes.
Klay showed up.
Yes, yeah. Klay's a better defender than Steph.
Klay,
and when you add that all up, Steph's still better than Klay.
Listen, Steve Kerr was perceived as somebody who dropped the ball because there were times when he didn't get Klay the ball as much as he should have. Let's not ignore that.
All right, so Stephen A. is getting rid of Steph Curry with the shot, and you're getting rid of Klay, who just dropped 60.
I would also like to add there would not have been a Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals if Klay Thompson hadn't shown up and dropped 41 on him.
There wouldn't have been a Game 1 in the Western Conference Finals without Steph Curry.
Well, in both.
Gotta leave it.
Durant wasn't there.
This was good. I like this one. We want to hear from you guys, though. Head over to Twitter, weigh in here. Let us know which of the Warriors' big three you would let go of if you had to. We'll share those results a little later in the show. I'm really curious to see what other people have to say about this. But some people, they showed out last night, as we just mentioned. Others, they didn't even show up. Jets fans would tell you last night was a travesty, getting crushed by the Colts 41-10. Many thought the team quit in primetime national TV. New York is now 1-5 at home and 3-9 overall out of playoff contention. Todd Bowles, whose record fell to 13-15 with the Jets. Todd, what's on your mind?
So for the first time this year, we got our handed to us. I thought they kicked our. I don't think we had a lot of effort. I don't see the film. I'm sure there were some people that showed effort, but for the most part, we got our kicked. It's very troubling when you get your kicked. But we got our handed to them, so we're going to see what kind of pride we got this week. And I just know we got our kicked. It appeared that they kicked our physically. Obviously, when you get your kicked like this and handed to you, I don't care whether it's Monday night or Sunday morning, you don't want these kind of games to happen, and it's the first time this year has happened. I'm angry when I physically get my kicked instead of something happening mentally to get your kicked. When you get your kicked physically, that's embarrassing. You don't see signs of getting your kicked, you just get a kick.
All right, that was Jets head coach Todd Bowles. Obviously, he's a friend of the show, Stephen A. But we got to ask, is it time for him to go?
No, I'm not going to go that far because he had a winning season last year. And as long as people like Jeff Fisher have a job with the tenure that he has, I'll be damned if I'm going to be calling for Todd Bowles' job after just 2 seasons. Having said all of that, the Jets, to say that they should be ashamed of themselves doesn't even begin to touch on what I saw last night. Darrelle Revis, it's over. There's no such thing as Revis Island. Matter of fact, the only island that exists is the one that Revis decides to stand on by himself, because I've never seen him play off receivers so much in my life. It was the softest coverage I've ever seen Darrelle Revis engage in. He seems to have lost all of his confidence, if not all interest. The rest of the team, I was tweeting last night, I couldn't believe how wide open receivers were. I mean, Andrew Luck stood back there, took pictures, called the family, said what's up, ordered dinner, the whole 9. I mean, and the receivers did the same daggone thing. I mean, they literally walked into the end zone. There were no defenders within yards of these receivers. It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Matt Forte, I felt bad for him because on one particular play, he got squashed. The minute he touched the ball, the defender, nobody had blocked him. Not one single offensive lineman had blocked him. It was one of the most embarrassing moments I've ever seen in Jets history. It was worse than the butt fumble. It was worse than it's fumbling the snap by Joe Pasosic, and ultimately I think it was our very own Herm Edwards that picked up the ball in the 80s and ran it into the end zone for the Eagles against the Giants. I'm saying
had to bring that up.
I was thinking the Giants. I was thinking the Giants instead of the Jets, but it was worse than that moment. This was tantamount to the Rich Kotite era. And all New Yorkers know how bad that era was for the New York Jets. For the owner to be in attendance, for the new administration to contemplate making Woody Johnson for the Jets an ambassador, for the vice president-elect Pence to be in attendance, watching this stuff right there. If you're Todd Bowles, you're McCagnon, the general manager, it had to be incredibly uncomfortable to witness and wonder about yourself. This is one of the worst performances I have ever seen by a football team. It was that bad, but I'm still going to say it's one game. This season has been bad. Ryan Fitzpatrick will not be there next year. And Todd Bowles really needs to consider, and McCagnon, they got to clean a little house here in order. But it was really bad. But he should not be fired.
Let me first answer the question, and I want to talk about it because I don't take it lightly. Bowles got to go. He's got to go because the team quit on him. I have never seen a nationally televised game, at least I can't think of offhand, in any sport, where you saw one team quit so blatantly, just not try. I didn't watch the second half. Did you watch the second half of that game?
I did, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't watch the second half of that game. That was a disgrace. Now,
I'm ashamed to admit that I actually watched it.
Every city with 2 franchises, or generally cities with 2 franchises, the major metropolitan areas, have the heritage team and the clown team. And one of the problems with New York is in basketball, that's the same team. The Knicks are both the heritage and the clown team. That's why New York basketball fans suffer the way they do. But the clown team can come up in the world a little bit. The Clippers in L.A. right now. But in L.A., the Lakers are the heritage team. Clippers always going to be the clown team in that town. I mean, they've never been to conference finals, as you mentioned. It's just that's their brand. They can't escape that from a few years of good fortune and good play. And in New York in football, that is the story. The Giants are the heritage team, and the Jets are the clown team. And the reason they remain a clown team is because their owner has a dysfunctional franchise. So I want to get back to Bowles. I don't take it lightly given the percentage of players in the NFL who are African-American versus the percentage of coaches who are African-American. So when an African-American coach gets a shot at being a head coach, I don't take it lightly saying, especially after a couple seasons and a half, oh, he needs to go. But in this case, even from, and I'm not saying Todd Bowles might never be a good head coach. He is with a dysfunctional franchise. I don't see it getting any better because the franchise is the problem. If he stays, even if he somehow magically does a better job, it's still the same situation. You're still the head coach of the New York Jets. So though what I said is true about minority representation in front offices and at the head coaching position, I think in this case, the team don't want to play for him. Obviously, that was a disgraceful performance, the kind that gets head coaches fired. And even from Bowles' point of view, if there is a successful head coach in there in the future, listen, Belichick didn't do well in Cleveland when he stopped there at first, then he deserves better than this franchise too. I think that performance said it's time to go.
Well, first of all, let's hold him accountable in certain respects. Ryan Fitzpatrick shouldn't have been in there. Now, I don't blame Ryan Fitzpatrick for everything the way everybody else does. He had a horrific game where he threw 6 interceptions in one game, but outside of that, even though he hasn't been impressive by any shot, the fact of the matter is he's been the easy scapegoat as far as I'm concerned. But if you're Todd Bowles, you've got to know you should not have this man in there. You should be thinking towards the future. Players clearly quit, but that shows their character more so than his. I think that you go off of last year, and I think that McCagnon obviously has got to get better personnel. You can't let your quarterback wait until the 11th hour and 59th minute to come into camp to be ready to quarterback this team. I think all of those things hurt him. I think there were things off the football field that hurt Todd Bowles this year as well, which is why I would give him going into next season. But this was a very, very bad moment. If I'm Woody Johnson, I would hold on to it to dear life in terms of judging him moving forward into next season. This had better not happen again. It was bad.
Let's leave it there. We have another team on the East Coast in green that also struggled, gentlemen. Coming up, the Eagles were dominated Sunday by the Bengals so much so that their coach said they basically quit on the field. We'll break down just what's happening in Philly. Plus, Steve Kerr has open air topic. Stay tuned.